When you grow up in a small, quiet town like I did in rural Georgia, you get used to the sounds of the woods at night. But you never get used to seeing a man hiding in the branches of the old oak tree in your front yard. And you're definitely not prepared for him to be at your window just moments later. The stories you're about to hear are unsettling, and they come from Reddit users who shared their terrifyingly true experiences. They're a chilling reminder that sometimes the most terrifying things happen in the one place we're supposed to feel safe. And if you want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe. Story 1. The Window Man. Our first story comes from Reddit user AreYouSerious, who describes a childhood memory that still haunts them. When I was a kid, my parents were pretty cool. On weekend nights, they'd let me have the living room to myself. This was mostly because my older sister was a ridiculously light sleeper, and it was the only way I could stay up as late as I wanted. My goal was always to watch TV until the sun came up, but I never quite made it. So, one night I jolted awake. It wasn't a noise that woke me, but that prickly, electric feeling you get on the back of your neck. It was just pure, primal instinct screaming that something was wrong. I shot upright, my heart hammering against my ribs, and stared out the big picture window in our living room. We lived deep in rural Georgia, so our house was basically swallowed by a dense forest. It was beautiful during the day, but at night, it was just a wall of solid black. Tonight was different, though. The moon was full and brilliant, casting this perfect ethereal glow over everything. And that's when I saw him. In the branches of the massive oak tree that dominated our front yard, there was a silhouette. It wasn't a trick of the light, not some weirdly shaped branch. It was, without a doubt, the shape of a person standing perfectly still among the leaves. My blood ran cold. My brain just couldn't process it. Why would someone be standing in our tree? Before I could even let out a breath, our family dog, a big German shepherd named Max, shot past me like a bullet. He ran to the window, pressed his nose hard against the glass, and let out this deep, guttural snarl I had never, ever heard him make before. Honestly, the sight of my usually gentle dog reacting with such fury scared me more than the man in the tree. My legs felt like jelly, but I scrambled off the couch and ran as fast as I could to my parents' bedroom. Through panicked sobs, I tried to explain what I saw. The man, the tree, the way he was just there. My dad didn't hesitate for a second. He grabbed the heavy-duty mag light he kept by the bed, the kind that's heavy enough to use as a club, and bolted outside with Max, who was now barking his head off. I trembled in my mom's arms, my eyes glued to the front door, listening to my dad yelling and the dog's frantic barks echoing through the night. It felt like an eternity before the door opened again. My dad stepped inside, his face calm but stern. "There's nobody there," he said, his voice gentle but firm. "No footprints, nothing. The dog's probably just worked up over a raccoon. You had a nightmare, kiddo. Go on to bed." But I knew it wasn't a nightmare. There was no way I was going back to sleep in the living room, not in front of that window. I quietly snuck into my sister's room and whispered the whole story to her. She was just as freaked out as I was, but having her there in the bunk bed below me made me feel a little safer. My dad, bless his heart, didn't go right back to bed. For the next hour, I could hear his soft footsteps as he walked from window to window with a cup of coffee, keeping watch. Eventually, the house fell silent. The adrenaline started to fade, and I was just bone-tired. I remember burrowing under my covers, thinking, "Okay, it's over. I can finally sleep." I was so wrong. As I was lying there, my eyes drifted over to my bedroom window. And he was there. The man. He was standing right outside my second-story window, just staring in. The moonlight lit up his face just enough for me to see his features. He was pale, with dark, sunken eyes that seemed to swallow the light around them. His expression was completely, unnervingly blank. Before I even had a chance to scream, he slowly lifted one long finger to his lips in a clear, deliberate shh. And then, just as quickly as he appeared, he turned and ran. He didn't duck or try to hide. He just ran straight away from the house and vanished back into the darkness of the trees. I don't think I stopped crying for hours after that. My parents tried to comfort me, but they still thought it was just an overactive imagination, a string of bad dreams. But I know what I saw. I have never forgotten that pale face, those hollow eyes, or that terrifying gesture that told me he knew I'd seen him, and that it was our little secret. Some nights, even now, I can still feel him watching. Story 2. The Stalker Who Knew. That feeling of being watched, of your home not being the safe space you thought it was, never truly leaves you. This next story, from a deleted Reddit user, is about a similar violation, but one that started on the empty streets of a sleeping town. It was a few summers ago, during that perfect, humid time of year when the nights are warm and inviting. My friend Jake and I got into the habit of going for midnight bike rides. Our town was small and pretty safe, and there was something magical about gliding through silent streets under the orange glow of the streetlights. On this particular night, we rode out to the edge of town and were heading back. We split up at the intersection that led to our neighborhoods, and I had just 2 more blocks to go alone. It was a route I'd taken 1,000 times. But tonight, my street was blocked off for road construction, forcing me onto the parallel sidewalk. The streets were dead quiet. I mean, the only sound was the soft clicking of my bike chain. I wasn't worried. This was my home. As I got close to the left turn for my street, I saw him. A man was walking alone on the sidewalk ahead of me, going in the same direction. He looked to be in his 40s, kind of scruffy, but not like he was homeless. Just unkempt. The sidewalk was narrow and I didn't want to startle him, so when I was about 6 feet away, I did what I thought was the polite thing. I called out in a friendly voice, "Hey, just behind you!" The man whipped around and his reaction was not at all what I expected. His face twisted into a mask of pure fury. His eyes were wide with this shocking intensity, and he glared at me like I had just threatened his life. He didn't say a word. He just stared. Totally rattled, I mumbled an apology and quickly turned onto my street, pedaling a lot faster than before. I just wanted to get home and away from whatever that was. I was about halfway down my block when I heard him screaming, "I'll get you! You hear me? I'm going to end you!" The threats were violent and terrifyingly specific. My house was the 3rd one from the corner, and the last thing I wanted was for this guy to know where I lived. So instead of pulling into my driveway, I made a split-second decision and just kept riding, looping the block. My heart was pounding. I hoped he would just keep walking and disappear into the night. I took the long way around, my mind racing. After a few minutes, I slowly circled back, cautiously peering down my street from the far end of the block, ready to bolt. And that's the part that still messes with me. The part that turns this from just a scary encounter into something much more sinister. I looked down the long, empty street, and there he was, standing on my front stoop. He wasn't looking for me. He wasn't pacing. He was standing perfectly still on my porch, staring out into the darkness like he was waiting, like he knew. I didn't go home. I biked as fast as I could back to Jake's house and ended up staying the night, too scared to go back to my own room. But 2 days later, I went to get my bike from the alley behind our house where I always left it, and it was gone. Just my bike, vanished. There was no sign of a break-in. Nothing else was touched. It was a clear and terrifying message. He had come back. He knew where I lived, and he took something of mine just to prove it. Story 3. The Attic Above. Sometimes the threat is a person you can see, a clear and present danger. But other times, the horror has been living right alongside you for years, completely unnoticed. Our final story, also from a deleted Reddit user, is about a discovery that retroactively turned a beloved childhood home into a place of unimaginable dread. I grew up in a bizarre house. It was a tall, skinny, freestanding row house, totally out of place in our suburban neighborhood. It had 3 floors, a creepy basement, and an attic. The place was full of quirks I found charming as a kid. Fireplaces built back to back, a random shower stall just standing in the middle of the unfinished basement, and my personal favorite, an old dumbwaiter that ran from the kitchen straight up to my bedroom. I loved that house. It felt like it was designed by a madman, full of strange logic. But it was ancient, and eventually the repairs cost too much. When I was 16, we had to move. Packing was pure chaos. I spent days clearing out my room, using the dumbwaiter to send boxes down to the kitchen. While cleaning my closet, I found a section of the wall that was just solid brick for no reason. It was while I was clearing out that same closet, pulling down old clothes, that I found something new. Hidden in the ceiling, painted over and almost perfectly flush, was the faint outline of a square hatch. The attic. In all the years I'd lived there, I never knew it existed. And of course, being a curious teenager, I had to see what was up there. I piled up old storage bins and clothes into a makeshift ladder, and with a bit of a struggle, I pushed the hatch open and hoisted myself into the darkness. Except, it wasn't completely dark. As my eyes adjusted, I saw a string of old red Christmas lights casting a dim, hellish glow over the space. The attic ran the entire length of the house. I could see there were cracks and holes in the floorboards, tiny peepholes that looked directly down into the bedrooms below. My room, my sister's room, my parents' room. Against one wall was a rusted mint green mini fridge from the 70s. I had to know, so I pulled the door open. A wave of stale, cold air washed over me, and the fridge gave a low hum. It was still running. Then, I saw the bones. They were arranged in dozens of small piles all around the middle of the room. Bones of all shapes and sizes, picked clean and white, from every kind of animal you could imagine. Squirrels, birds, cats, maybe a dog. 2 of the piles were different, though. The bones were blackened and charred like they'd been burned. My stomach turned. This wasn't just a place someone was squatting. On the wooden wall next to the burned piles, words had been smeared in what I can only describe as bone char. Most of it was illegible, frantic scribbles. But one word was scratched clearly, over and over again. Sorry. And then the most horrifying realization washed over me. This room, this secret, macabre space, was directly above my bedroom. For 8 years, I had slept soundly in my bed. I had played, read, and lived my life. And for all 8 of those years, someone or something had been living right above my head, sleeping on that gurney, using that humming fridge, arranging their collection of bones just a few feet away, completely unseen. I never heard a single thing. For tonight's question, what's the strangest or most unexplainable thing you've ever found in a house you've lived in? Let me know your story in the comments below. If these stories left you with a chill, please do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more true scary stories sent in by people just like you. Thanks for listening, and stay watchful.